what was the other question? Oh yeah, so there was a question on the forum. Forgive me, I don't remember who was talking about starting to play slide guitar and wanted advice about the setup. So I wanted to just we don't do slide here for all the reasons I've explained in the past, but this is my 5-cent take on how to set up a guitar for slide. So this is open D tuning. And if I manage to edit it in time or have it edited in time, you'll hear all this again on Friday if you go to the YouTube channel, because I just talked about this for YouTube. But basically just 3 things, which are, the question is always like, what kind of guitar should I use? What gauge string should I get? And how should I have the action set up? And my answer to all of those is use the guitar you have with the strings you've got and the action you've got. With this caveat, make sure that the strings and the action you have on your guitar in the first place have a little bit of resistance and aren't super paper thin. Like, you don't want super low action. Well, I don't want super low action, and I don't want super light strings. I want, even when I'm playing fretted guitar, I want to be able to dig in without things starting to get kind of thin and snappy sounding. So even a guitar like this, which I primarily play fretted guitar on, I like it to be set up in such a way that I could play slide on it if I wanted to. And so with a light enough touch, you can still play slide without getting a lot of this, and you can play fretted notes without it being really painful. Because the intonation being painful is another story entirely. But basically, slide playing isn't just whipping the slide around without ever playing any fretted notes, right? It's this combination of being able to play some of these kinds of voicings, or even if you're playing in steady bass. You might be able to go back and forth. At least I do. Especially if you're going to be singing. I've found that trying to sing and keep your mouth like on a microphone or whatever, and look down and make sure that you're playing the 5th fret with your slide is a losing proposition, right? So if I'm going to sing and play slide, then I'm going to play my chord voicings when I'm accompanying myself. I'm going to fret them. Be able to play the whole accompaniment just with fretted notes and like, the voicings that you need to play in open position. And then if I'm going to solo or play some fills, then cool. Right? So I could play the melody. And stick in a slide fill. Sing the words, I could do that. I am a pilgrim and a stranger. Right, I don't have to worry about the slide. And then if I'm going to solo, I could do like whole chords. doesn't just sound like slide licks. So the main reason to have a guitar just dedicated to playing slide is so you don't have to keep tuning and retuning, right? You can just leave one in that tuning and just work on it when you want to, and then you got your guitar in standard tuning. But as far as the setup itself, it doesn't need to be a Resophonic guitar, although I know it is almost Christmas. So if you need to tell somebody that you do need a Resophonic guitar, I will write you a note that says you need a Resophonic guitar to start playing slide. I will gladly do that for anybody here. But you know, you can, I mean, for years, my main slide instrument was, had this big old Yamaha Dreadnought that had been my first good acoustic guitar. And it was a Dreadnought, so it had a longer scale and stiffer action. And it was a killer slide guitar. And once tuned down to an open tuning, the strings were still loose enough that I could still fret stuff. And I played a lot of it in open C, so the strings were quite a bit more slack. So it was kind of a good compromise. But this one, you know, works fine for slide. And I do have, you know, some Resophonic guitars that I play too. And so actually I will say one thing about the Resophonic guitars, which is, I'll show and tell here. So traditionally, they have this thing called the strap. At least that's what Steve James called it, and that's what I learned to call it. And it goes right over where the bridge is, right? It's part of how a National is typically constructed. So this is an actual 30s Trojan. And so it's got the standard construction. It's got a 10.5-inch cone. It's a cone that goes like this, as opposed to a dobro cone, which goes like this. It's got this round piece of wood called the biscuit, and the bridge rests on the biscuit, and then this strap goes over it. Now, the problem is, if you want to do any palm muting, you got to be like all the way over here, which kind of sucks. So on this more modern National, this is from, I think, 2001 or 2002, 2001. It's a National Estrelita. It had screws, and you could actually take the strap off, which I didn't do for like the first 20 years. And then one day I was like, the hell with it, I'm taking it off. And so now you can see, here's the biscuit and here's the bridge, right? But with that off, you can now palm mute, which of course makes David very happy. So this one's in D also. And actually, like, if I was going to be taking this one out to play it, I would probably, you know, these make great these make great guitars to play in standard tuning. They make great guitars to play even when you're not bothering to play slide. You can be in open tuning. So, you know, with the palm muting, suddenly, you know, you don't have to have that boomy bass thing going on. So, I don't know, that's just my 2 cents about, you know, resonators. And if you can take the strap off, if you have one, or you're going to have one, you might want to check and see if that's something you can monkey with. This is all very modular. So even if the one you get, if you have one that doesn't have a removable strap, you could probably swap out the cover plate. If you could find a cover plate that had screws for the strap, then you could make that modification. I would never do that because I don't know jack about taking guitars apart and putting them back together, but that would be what I would want. So, back to reality. It's tangent day. Yeah, the dobros are different. I don't have a round neck dobro. I do have, this is actually a Regal. This is also from the 30s. And the strap is just built right in. Like you can't, it's just, basically it looks like they just punched this out, right, and pulled it out from the plate itself. So it's probably all one piece, and then this just comes out. So you can't do that with this. And it's a different size than the National, so you can't mess with that too much. And this is a square neck, right? So this was probably originally a round neck. This is not the original neck, but it's still pretty posh because the neck was made by a guy named John Monteleone. Not for me, this is how I got it. And Monteleone is best known for his F-style mandolins. So this is a really lovely guitar also, which is in high G tuning. And but you can't. I mean, the palm muting thing is moot here because I would never play it like a regular guitar because it's, because it's got the square neck. But it's a really nice instrument, and I played it for years. Don't play much now, but can't part with it because it sounds amazing. So anyway, that's the thing about the Dobros. But Dobros have been around for so long and made so many different ways. You might find one that does have a strap you can mess with. And in a pinch, if it wasn't anything particularly vintage or valuable, you could probably just have someone you could take the plate off and have someone just cut that piece out and buff it, and then you would have a way to deal with it. Okay, some questions about, I don't know about the Republic. I went out there for Acoustic Guitar Magazine years ago and played just a bunch of them, and I know some people found that it's on YouTube if you look. I just sat and I sat with a phone basically, and they would just hand me guitars and I would tape myself playing them, and I sent all the videos off to Acoustic Guitar, and they just basically used all of them because everyone had a different instrument in it. I really enjoyed playing those guitars. I thought they were really nice. I know some people in the comments, I just happened to come across that video a few days ago. I can't remember why. And so I, like an idiot, I read the comments, and there were some people just saying these guitars are crap. And then other people saying that they were wonderful. And I liked playing them, but I don't actually have one. But the wood versus metal thing, I actually got the first wooden one. I'd never owned one. And when I first moved to Austin, there was still a store called World Guitars. It was upstairs from a venue called the Continental. So any of you that live here in Austin, if you can imagine having the Continental, which is a great venue, and then having a fantastic vintage guitar store right upstairs from it. I mean, what more could you ask for? And so I got that guitar. It needed a neck reset. And so I bought it knowing that. And it was, priced accordingly. The wooden ones, even then, were a lot cheaper than the metal ones. So that was part of it. A Tricone back then was still 3 times as much as a Trojan or a Duolian. I think Duolians are wooden also. But the other reason I got it was because I wanted to play standing up. And the Tricone was just going to be insane to play standing up. The wooden ones are a lot later. So that was the main reason. The wooden ones, the Tricones actually have a much mellower sound, which really surprised me. I spent a bunch of time around Paul Rochelle when he was playing a new Tricone that he'd gotten. And it's a very sort of more rounded off, warmer kind of sound than the wooden ones, which can be really kind of but this one's pretty warm and chill. I'm pointing to it, I should say. This one is actually pretty warm sounding and very sort of echoey and resophonic. So, it's in C tuning, this one. Which I could go on and on about C tuning. But this one's a pretty warm sounding wooden one. I need more guitar stands. And this one is a lot more focused. So actually I found that this one records a lot better. If I'm going to do not if I'm going to do some sort of vibey and atmospheric, but if I'm doing a part, if I wanted to do a resophonic part on a record, to sort of balance or play off of a basic acoustic guitar part, this one is a lot more focused and would sit better in a mix. More it's almost this is if I want the feeling of an electric guitar part, but I don't want to actually play electric guitar because it's sort of more of an acoustic recording. I'll be like, this is the one. It like really kind of pokes through, but it's got this kind of narrow tonal range, and it just kind of sits in a nice place, kind of a lot like a Telecaster or something. But anyway, okay. So there were some questions I apparently missed from Tracy. Oh, can you place the date or release number on the front page for each revision? Oh yeah, that would be a good thing to do. I'll try to find a discrete place to put that so that you can see what's what. So yes, yes, I will make your note out to Jane Hunter. Yes, please allow David to get a slide guitar. Let's see. Oh, cool. You do have so Valerie has a Metal Republic. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, so I guess they're still in business. Yeah,